He stared into my mouth like he'd found a corpse. The dentist's gloved fingers froze against my jaw, his eyes narrowing as if the shadows inside me whispered something obscene. I felt his breath still, an instinctive reaction, the kind people have when they glimpse a truth they weren't meant to see. "Who treated you before?" he asked. I swallowed the dryness in my throat. "My wife, she's a dentist too." He went silent. Not the professional kind, the human kind. A pause heavy enough to bruise. Then, in a tone stripped of all casualness, he said, "We need to run some tests right away. What I'm seeing shouldn't be there." My heartbeat stuttered. Not in fear. Fear had been burned out of me long ago. But in recognition. Because the moment he said the words, something old and ugly stirred inside me. A suspicion I'd buried under routine dinners, polite smiles, and the soft lie of marital comfort. I didn't argue, didn't ask, just let him run the tests. When I left the clinic, my phone vibrated. A message. Not from my wife, from my daughter-in-law. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." Her arrogance had always dripped like spoiled honey. I replied with a single word: enjoy. Hours later, she saw the photos. My villa, perched against the Swiss Alps, windows glittering with a life she'd never imagined I possessed. 71 missed calls lit my screen. I didn't answer, because something far more dangerous than greed was unraveling in front of me. My teeth had spoken before my wife ever dared to. I returned home with a strange calmness wrapped tight around me. A shell, a shield. My wife greeted me with a smile, too quick, too polished. The kind of smile you put on after scrubbing away the evidence of something else. "How was the appointment?" she asked. "Routine," I lied. Her eyes flickered. Barely. But I'd lived long enough with her to know every micro-expression she tried to bury. That flicker wasn't concern. It was calculation. Something had been done to me, and she already knew. As the evening unfolded around us, clattering pans, muted conversations, her humming a song she hated, I felt myself detach, observing, not living. Why would she leave signs in my mouth that another professional could detect? Why risk it? Unless she thought I'd never go to another dentist. Unless she assumed total control. The betrayal wasn't confirmed yet, but the shadow of it stretched across every memory. Her late nights at the clinic, her sudden concern for the family finances, her checking my insurance more often than she checked on me, her strange insistence that I avoid second opinions for dental work she handled. I'd ignored the signs, believing silence was the price of peace. But peace, bought with blindness, was just another form of imprisonment. And the cell door had finally creaked open. I became a ghost in my own home. Not dead, just unseen. While she slept beside me, I scrolled through statements, insurance claims, schedules. I traced patterns she didn't think I'd notice, charges she never mentioned, procedures I never received, appointments she billed for when I was traveling. Fraud. Lie, layered on lie. But the numbers were merely the smoke. Betrayal was the fire. The dentist's report arrived 3 days later. There were micro-abrasions consistent with deliberate over-drilling. Unnecessary adjustments. A material used that wasn't on my insurance's approved list. She'd been experimenting on me, or draining me, or both. I acted normal, made coffee, went to work, responded to messages with polite distance. Inside, a cold flame licked upward, slow, steady, merciless. I watched her, her nervous glances, the way she checked my reaction every time she touched my shoulder, her sudden softness, as though guilt made her desperate to mask the truth. She sensed something was shifting, but she didn't know how much I already knew, or what I was preparing. I needed evidence, real evidence. So one evening I visited her clinic unannounced. Her assistant, young, easily intimidated, let me in. I found records, duplicates, adjustments, photos. One image froze my breath. My wife, smiling too widely, standing too close to a male colleague, her hand on his arm, his hand on her waist. Timestamp, a night she told me she was working late on a difficult case. The pieces clicked into place with brutal precision. She wasn't just betraying me emotionally, she was manipulating my health, my insurance, my trust. Everything she touched had been part of a quiet extraction. And now I knew. The final confirmation came in a sealed envelope. Dental malpractice indicators, insurance fraud codes, photos from the clinic cameras, and the message from the dentist: this was intentional. I sat at the dining table when she returned home, a single folder placed in front of me. She paused in the doorway, her smile faltering. "What's all this?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I pushed the folder toward her. She opened it, her face drained of color. Hands trembled. You... I lifted a hand, a gesture, a warning. Silence stretched. She broke first, voice cracking, excuses spilling like sewage. "It wasn't like that. I didn't mean. It's complicated. You weren't supposed to." I watched her crumble. Not with rage, with clarity. The truth was an executioner, and she had handed me the blade. I didn't shout, didn't accuse, didn't curse her name the way she expected. Instead, I stood, walked to the window, and spoke with the calm of a surgeon. "I transferred everything today." She blinked. "What do you mean, everything?" "The accounts, the house, your clinic lease, your partnership contract, all the documents with my name attached." Her knees nearly buckled. I continued, voice even. "I also submitted your insurance records, and your clinic logs, and your messages." She gasped. "You can't do this!" "You did this." A simple statement, the kind that ends conversations. She reached for me. I stepped back. "You won't lose your license," I said. "Not immediately. They'll start by freezing your claims, then reviewing your procedures, then questioning your partners. Everything will slow, collapse, quietly." Tears streaked down her face now. I felt nothing. No triumph, no regret, just distance. As she broke down in front of me, I realized the revenge had already struck. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing the life she built with my name. And now, that name was gone. I left that night, didn't pack a bag, didn't look back. The villa in Switzerland waited, quiet, distant, untouched by her shadow. A place I'd bought years ago, but never mentioned, because power is most effective when hidden. My phone buzzed once more, my daughter-in-law again, begging, pleading to know if the photos were real. I turned the phone off. For the first time in years, the world felt still, uncluttered, mine. Some truths don't shatter you, they free you. I walked toward the balcony, cold wind rising from the mountains, and whispered to no one, "I'm done being useful." And just like that, the last piece of me that ever cared died quietly.